All right. Okay. I have some echoes going on with my YouTube. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the bi-weekly IoTeXperts live stream brought to you by the folks at IoTeX. There we go. Nice little overlay there. I'm Robert Wolf, and I'll be your host today and every 2 weeks as we take a deeper dive or deeper look at IoTeX developer ecosystem and explore the many things that are going on in and around the Web3 space. Of course, this is a very exciting space where things are happening pretty much every single day. So we'll do our best to bring you all sorts of cool and exciting things that are happening on this live stream. So each of these live streams start off with some developer updates. We're usually joined by folks like Giuseppe, Jeremy from the Discord server, Simone, lots of interesting people doing amazing things on IoTeX. Now, while you're watching this, of course, we want to take questions. So post those in the YouTube chat. We'll do our best to get those answered as soon as possible. And if we don't, we'll definitely address them at the end of the call. So please be patient. We'll definitely do that. If you enjoy this episode or any of our episodes, make sure you hit that like button, comment on the video, tell us some feedback. We want to make these better for you as we go forward. So hit that like button, comment on the video, let us know how you feel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, IoTeX official channel, because we do this all the time. And we'll be hopefully doing more of these more often as we go forward. Now, in this episode, some very cool stuff is going to be talked about, as we did in the last one, and which was actually last week. I was with Giuseppe. We talked about Livestream. It is all the buzz right now in the IoTeX world. And so Simone is now going to join us to talk to us a little bit more about the Livestream documentation and then give us some inside looks at the Livestream interface. So let's actually bring Giuseppe on right now. I'm sorry, Giuseppe. Simone. Let's bring Simone on right now. So welcome, Simone. How are you?
Hey everybody, all good, all good. Thank you. Welcome everybody, thank you for joining, and yeah, happy to be back again. Last time I had some technical issues, so eventually I could not join. Yeah, great to be here again.
Awesome, yeah, and I look forward to actually seeing what you have to show us, because while so much stuff was happening around the Livestream announcements, I was just so busy last week. You know, I was so busy with so many things. And I'm like, man, I don't have time to go read about all the stuff that's happening. And so I'm lucky and fortunate enough to have you and Giuseppe educating me during these episodes.
Yeah, it was a crazy week. We released this Livestream developer seed pretty early compared to when it was planned. But we decided to put it in the hands of developers earlier, even if not all the features are there, just to get some feedback. So that's also why today I want to just dive deep a little bit into the documentation and incentivize developers to test this release and let us know their feedback, their suggestions. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to remind everyone, you know, if you want to go check out, and I'll share the link in a minute, want to go check out last week's episode with Giuseppe. He did go through a little demo of sorts and some deep dive explanation into what Livestream is. You can also go visit https://docs.webstream.com. That's E with a 3 there. I actually changed my name today to Robert. I don't know if you saw that with the 3. So to celebrate.
Shouldn't say.
Yes. But yeah, cool. So Simone, I mean, take it away. I'm sure I'll have lots of questions while you start talking about this stuff. And you have a presentation or something you'd like to pull up?
Yeah, let me actually share the screen.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm sure most of you have already checked it out, but anyway, I'm on the Livestream official documentation, which is docs.webstream.com with a 3 instead of the E. There is the nice premiere YouTube video from Rowland here in the introduction. You can take a look at the roadmap here. So basically, what I want to do today, I just want to invite you to check out the documentation, first of all, and also to install a Livestream node on your local computer, because it's really easy. If you go to the Livestream official documentation, official website actually, that's webstream.com, you can also just copy paste the simple command, this one single line, will allow you to quickly download the Docker images and start the whole WebStream node locally on your computer. You don't have to build any source code or do anything. You will just have it running on your computer almost instantly. Just the time to download the first time, but then it's instant. And after that, you can just access the WebStream administration UI, which is called WebStream Studio. I'm sure you have seen it during the past live stream from Giuseppe. But in this live stream, I don't want to build anything technical. There will be time for having some dedicated developer-oriented live streams where we are doing actually some coding sessions where we are actually going to build something using WebStream. But today, I only want to stop by at the basic concept section of the applet's development. That gives you the context or the naming of the different concepts that are part of a WebStream node that you will encounter when you start deploying and configuring a WebStream node. And so basically what I want to do, I just want to dive a little bit deeper into this image that's in this basic concepts section of the documentation. So I just a few slides to just show you something more visually, right? To help make it more clear what are these different components. So for sure you have seen this graphic, this WebStream graphic that's on the homepage of the WebStream website, that's also on the documentation page, and it's showing the general workflow of data in a MachineFly application where you have smart devices on the left side. These smart devices are sending a different type of IoT data, from ambient light to motion data, climate data, location data, health data, and so on and so forth. This data seems to be going into a WebStream element, which is layer 2 component of the architecture. And then something is going out of this WebStream element, and it's going to different types of blockchains. These are, including the IoTeX blockchain, these are all EVM compatible blockchains that can interact with the WebStream network. But I want to go a little bit more into the details here. So what's inside this WebStream circle here, right? Because this image is very high level, does not really explain the details. So what's inside this WebStream circle? So what is WebStream in reality compared to a blockchain and to the devices? This external circle here is not really anything. It's just the collection of all WebStream networks. Each one is represented in this image by a circle, and each circle would be a WebStream network that currently is not possible to have in the form of a network yet, because we have not released any consensus module for the WebStream architecture yet. This will come in 2023. So at this moment, every single circle is a single node, but in the future, every one of this circle can also become a decentralized network itself, so a WebStream network. So eventually what you see in this circle here, it's not a WebStream network. It's a collection of WebStream networks, right, that today are just represented by single nodes, let's say networks. And then you have different set of devices, which I have represented like different classes of IoT or smart devices, like a set of smart cars, or a set of industrial machines, or a set of Raspberry Pi boards based devices. But this can be actually any arrangement, because it depends on what the WebStream network that's been deployed, what the network expects in terms of data. So you could decide to spin up a WebStream network that's intended to receive data from smart cards. Then you will have all smart cards, maybe all the smart cards of your brand, right, sending data to your decentralized WebStream network, but not necessarily the same type of device. That's just related to the application. But typically you have like a certain smart device that's sending data to a web stream subnet, right? And then each one of these subnet is like generating proofs and making these proofs available to smart contracts on the blockchain to use them to trigger token economies, DeFi applications, DeFi logic, or whatever the decentralized logic is intended, like the decentralized finance logic is intended to do. So as I said, each one of these circles here in the near future will actually become a decentralized network itself. And so that web stream is going to be a collection of web stream subnets, ranging from more or less decentralized subnets, down to the single node that we have today, up to the more decentralized networks with many nodes that are participating into a consensus mechanism. So I want just to go into every single one of these nodes and show you what's inside the single node, right? So that's what, these are the elements that make a web stream node. And so I just want you to get familiar with this terminology and with these concepts, right? So you have these like devices that send data to the web stream node. So we call these ones publishers, and it's a general term. Right? It's just an entity or a machine that is capable of publishing data to a web stream node or to a web stream network, right? And what they actually send is just a JSON message that is composed of two parts, right? One is a web stream header that contains elements that are part of the web stream node protocol, and this is a standard from the web stream architecture, so not specific to the application. And this header contains some elements that are required for the web stream node to manage and to process the data message when it arrives in the node. And then, of course, the smart device is also attaching its own payload message, which is the custom payload which contains the actual message that contains the data that you want to store or to process inside your web stream node logic. So the specific application message here. So this message is sent to a web stream node, and currently there are two possible service endpoints that can receive a message from a smart device. One is an HTTPS endpoint, the other one is an MQTT endpoint. Depending on what your smart device uses, what you are more familiar with, or what is more convenient for you, you're going to use one or the other. So once the message reaches the web stream node on one of these two endpoints, the web stream node will do some basic authentication. Right? In the future, there will be more advanced authentication that will be based on blockchain identities, but currently in this seed release, there is a simpler authentication mechanism that anybody can use, so you can get started immediately, where basically you have a list of publishers inside your web stream node, and these publishers are just publishers accounts, that represent an account that can be used by the publisher, by the device, to actually be allowed to send messages to this web stream node. So you will have
So Simone, is that list right there, the publishers, is that kind of like the whitelist? Like these are whitelisted publishers?
Yeah, think of it like just accounts, right? Accounts like, typically you can have, for example, one account for your device model, right? Not every single device, but for example, if I have, I don't know, a GPS tracker, model 1, this model 1 could be associated to a publisher inside the web stream node, so that all model 1s of this tracker will use this account to send data, so that it can also be somehow recognized, right? Who is actually sending this data, which device, or what to expect, and maybe what logic to trigger, depending on,
And so, right? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so right now, what the node that's available right now for people to participate and get involved, you're basically opening up this publisher block so that people can go add their accounts in there to enable the devices that they want to connect.
Not really. I mean, this is something that is part of the node administration. So you are running the node, you are probably also the device manufacturer. So you are deploying the node for your devices. So you create a publisher, and then you are going to use this publisher account data, so the authorization token basically, inside the firmware of your device, so that only your device will be enabled to send data to this node. If any other data comes and reaches the node and it's not using any publisher account that's authorized inside your node, it will just be ignored, right? So that's a way to authorize your devices to send data to your node.
Awesome, cool.
So that's a very basic authentication model, and it's just based on a kind of username and authorization token, right? And then you use this data inside the header of the message, inside the web stream header of your message, so that you just filter out any spam from any unauthorized source that would try to, fill your node with unrelated messages. And so once the message gets authorized by the WebStream Events Manager, then the WebStream Events Manager, the next step of the manager is to route this event to the destination project. So this means that inside a WebStream node, you can have at least one project. The project typically represents your machine-fi application logic. But you're not limited to a single project. You can have as many projects as you want inside a WebStream node. You could even have one project for one machine-fi application, another project for another machine-fi application, or just split the logic of your single machine-fi application into multiple projects. And what is a project? It's just a collection of applets. An applet is the actual logic, so the actual code of your WebStream node. And every project can contain multiple applets, right? Think of an applet like a small software program, right? And so again, as for projects, you can have multiple applets inside a project. So there are no specific limits on how to organize applets and projects inside a WebStream node. It's fully flexible, so you can have one single applet, one single project for your machine-fi application, as well as if it's complex, if you want to manage it easier, then you can split the logic into multiple applets, and then split groups of applets into multiple projects based on some whatever logic you want, right? Depending on how complex your machine-fi application is. Then inside every applet, an applet is a logic module, but inside you actually have what we call event handlers, which are just software functions that you have coded inside the module, inside the applet. And you can actually call specific functions, specific handlers in your WebStream node. So how all of this works together, right? So when the message arrives to the WebStream node, if you have configured one project, right, into your WebStream node, then there will be automatically an HTTP endpoint specific for that project. So if the smart device is sending an HTTP message to the node using that specific endpoint that has been automatically generated for this project, this means the event handler will route that message to that specific recipient project. And the same works with MQTT, but MQTT will generate what is called a copy with the name of the project, while HTTP will generate an endpoint with a fixed part, and the last part of the endpoint is the name of the project, so that you can target a message specifically to one project by sending it to that specific endpoint. And so the WebStream Event Manager will authorize first the message based on the header, the token that's in the header, and then based on the endpoint it's been sent to, it will route the message to the correct project. At that point, the project will take the message, right, and it will use an event strategy to decide where the payload included in the message has to be sent to in terms of the set of event handlers that are available in the different applets of the project. And so what's the event strategy? It's just a collection of rules that say if the message includes this event, then the message should go to this event handler inside this applet. So every project can have a different set of rules. This makes the event strategy for that project, which means that inside the WebStream header, there is not only the publisher token, but there is also an event code. And this event code must be matched into one of the rules of the event strategy, so that basically you can target a specific handler inside that project with the event code.
Yeah. Sorry. So I just want to kind of I want to make sure we let's start from the beginning again. So publisher generates something.
Yeah. So the smart device, for example, it's generating some data, right?
Okay.
To be able to trigger some logic, the smart device has to target a specific project inside the WebStream node and call a specific handler inside the logic of the project. And
but from the top, from the top,
right.
it generates data. It includes the header. The header basically is that authorization layer that gets it into the node. So data is generated from the publisher. Header gets the authorization, gets it into the node. It's in the WebStream node. The events manager picks it up, tosses it over to the project events strategy, or let's call it planner, and then it determines which project this. And this is also in the header message?
Yeah, in the header message, you have the event code. This event code is matched inside the project's event strategy. And if there is a match, if there is a match, this match will tell the project which event handler in which applet should be called because of this message. And that event handler will get the actual payload, this one, of the message as an argument. And so eventually the logic will be able to process the data, and that's where you trigger your IoT logic, your data storage logic, and your whatever processing you want to do, because you can do anything in this logic, because this applet is just a WebAssembly module. And this WebAssembly module can be generated by any high-level language that supports compilation to WebAssembly as a target, which means Rust, C++, or Golang, assembly script, right? And these languages, you can import anything you want. You can import the Web3 client for smart contract interaction. You can import, machine vision libraries to do, machine vision algorithms or AI or whatever you want. Then eventually you build your applet in the form, and then you deploy it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I want to kind of think of a use case here, and I know you haven't gotten all the way through yet, right? So we're at the applet. Now I want to think of a use case. Let's just say smart home. Okay, so we're in a smart home. Let's take an example. EnviroBlock has data coming in from the attic. You maybe have UCAM providing data in terms of video and audio. You maybe have some smart lock on your door, right? And so you have all this data that's being collected. Would each one of these data sources, or could we say each one of these data sources is handled by a separate applet? And so as the attic data comes in, that gets funneled into the attic applet. The camera data gets funneled into this particular applet. And then you can reward these particular pieces of data independently?
Yeah, that's a wide question. But as I said, this is just an architecture that gives you tools to program, or actually it's almost visually program, the WebStream node. So you have all the options to be as flexible as you want. So as you said, you could even have, that's not typical, but you could even have a WebStream node managing data incoming from different types of devices, like you mentioned. And nobody prevents you to have a different applet to manage the different data coming from different devices. You just configure your event strategy to say if the event code is 1, then send the payload to this event in this applet. If the event code is 2, send the data, the payload, to this applet, to this event in this applet. And then when the device is sending the data, it will set the event code to 1 or to 2 based on which device is actually sending the data. And then the WebStream node will route it to the correct handler based on your configuration. So you can really do whatever you want.
Like it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of just beautifully. I picture like almost like these little filters, and as it goes through the filters, the grains that are smaller make it all the way through.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually, this logic inside the applet has access to the WebStream node, what's called the ABI, the application binary interface. So what the WebStream node can really do in terms of logic. And there are some functions that, at this moment, there are not so many, that set of functions is going to be expanded a lot. So currently, what a WebStream node can really do is give you access to the terminal, right, to the console of the WebStream node. That's the first thing you need to do some debug, through the function called log. Then there is a function called getData that allows you to actually extract the payload from the message, from the event message, and then use it inside your logic. Then there are functions that allow you to store some key value settings into the node storage. And there are functions that allow you to broadcast a blockchain transaction. So these are the functions that actually the WebStream node can do, and they are exposed to the applet logic. So the applet logic can do whatever logic you want by importing whatever library you want. But then at some point, the logic will be able to, will need to use one or more of the actual host functions, so of the actual WebStream functions. And so at some point, I will be able to store some data in the database or call a smart contract function if it's needed, and so on and so forth. So these are the host functions. The functions
can these applets,
yeah.
Can these applets be run as containers, or are they kind of like containers in terms of like, a Docker container inside of there?
Yeah, this is actually a good question. Because when you start talking about WebAssembly, the Dockerization concept comes as like something very similar. And actually, they look like a little bit similar in terms of technologies, but usually either you use Docker or you use WebAssembly, but anyway, they're used for different things.
I mean,
in this case, this applet is running inside a virtual machine, which is a WebAssembly virtual machine. And
Sorry, the reason I ask, and maybe you can answer this as well, is because I'm thinking of a scenario where people are developing these applets, right? Mm-hmm. And for the most part, some people might want to open source their applets, provide it to the public, because you've already gone through the security, the authorization phase. You've already gone through the routing phase in terms of the project event strategy. And so once you get to the applet, you've already gone through all the security. Why not open source these applets? Has IoTeX given any thought into, like, similar to how Docker has the Docker hub, like an applet hub, where people can actually post their applets and then people can download and consume them, so that you create kind of this like shared network of people and shared development?
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely a great addition to the developers community, and we encourage actually to open source the WebAssembly module that you use for your WebStream node. This can enrich the developers community. This can, I don't know, just enrich the open source community in general, and of course the MachineFi community. And we can definitely have in the future a hub of these open source applets. Why not? And in general, you can also have these applets. What I expect is also that device manufacturers will also publish the corresponding applet in the form of a template, open source template that explains you how to use the payload that's sent by their device. And then you would use that template to expand on it and implement your logic, right? So you can definitely expect the Pebble Tracker WebAssembly module for WebStream, so that if you want to develop a DApp based on Pebble Tracker data, then you can focus on the smart contract side. You will only have to spin up a WebStream node, download the Pebble Tracker WebAssembly module, deploy it into your WebStream node, so no coding, configure the event strategy, and that's it. The device is already in the community. It's already designed by IoTeX. The WebAssembly module that like process the payload, does the verification of the signature, and finally stores the IoT data into the WebStream storage is already available. You only have to deploy it. And then you just focus on the contract side. And I expect this model to be replicated by different Web3 hardware manufacturers. Yeah, like you create the hardware and then you deploy, you publish the WebAssembly, the standard WebAssembly module that processes the device payload.
One of my developers, at least one of my developers, are watching this show right now. We're making applets, right? We're making applets.
Yeah. We can. If you're interested, guys, we can have dedicated live streams and do some coding.
Oh, that'd be awesome!
Yeah. Why not? So yeah, basically, I would say. Yeah, that's almost all in terms of the basic concept. There are some other concepts. We can see them maybe directly inside the UI. What I want to show you, oh, this is full screen. What I want to show you, I have a WebStream node already running in my computer, right? So I can access it by going to localhost 3000, and I can log in into my node. So what I want to show you is where are these concepts that we have been talking about till now, right? So here is where you can create a project. You need to have at least one project to contain your logic. So you just can create a project. You call it, I don't know, Pebble project, whatever, right? And then you can start adding some applets. On the applet side, you are basically just going to create it using, let me find one actually. Yeah, you just create one using Visual Studio Code and using your favorite language that can compile to WebAssembly. We have some examples on the WebStream documentation for an Hello World. You just compile it and you get your WebAssembly module. Once you have your WebAssembly module with your logic, you can just deploy it to the project, to your project, by just uploading the WebAssembly file. I think I have one here. Yeah, maybe the log, very simple one. And you just deploy it. I don't know, I call it log logic. And so now I have an applet inside my project. And this applet only has one event handler. What I can do, I know because I know how the source code is written, but it's also on the documentation portal. So you can deploy it and start the execution of the applet inside the node. And here is where you have all the other concepts, right? You have the publisher. Unless you have a publisher, there is no way a smart device can send data to this node. So you need to have a publisher, and this publisher belongs to this project. You give a name to this publisher. I call it, I don't know if it's Pebble Tracker, I just call it Pebble. And the user ID, and I call it Pebble as well. And this will generate a token, a very long token. Then you can have this token and this ID inside your message when you send the data from your device. And then that message will be accepted by the node. And based on the event code that's inside that message, then your event strategy that's here, right, the strategies, you can have an event strategy for your project. There is a default one already. And in this strategy, you can add one more rule and say, okay, if the event code that's inside the device message, if the event code is, say, I don't know, GPS data, just inventing, as long as they match, you can use any code that you want. So if the event code in the message is GPS data, then route this message to this applet and call this handler. I know the handler is called start, but you know it because you created the applet, right? And so this means that in this event strategy, basically, if there is a message incoming that's targeted to this specific project, and inside the message the event code is GPS data, then this strategy will be matched, and the start handler inside the applet, the log applet that we have deployed will be called, right? And that handler at some point will do its processing on the payload, store the data into the database, and just leave it sitting there into the database until something else happens. And usually what happens next is that some proof is required by the blockchain on top of this data. And there are other concepts, maybe we can look at them the next time, which are the blockchain, the smart contracts components here that allow you to easily interact with the smart contract and generate events that then you can match with the strategy and do something when something happens on the blockchain, on the smart contract side. And yeah, I would say this is another story, the second part, and I don't want to take the whole time on this concept. Just wanted to give an overview of these concepts and just show you how easy it is to configure a WebStream node and invite you to just download it and start it. It's just one line command to install it and just experiment with these things. If you're not familiar with WebAssembly, there are some get started on the documentation website and just let us know how it goes. And yeah, there is an hello world here that you can use in Golang, for example, to build your WebAssembly module, deploy it to the WebStream node and start experimenting with some messages. Yeah, I would say that's it. I don't know if there are any questions. I think
no questions have come up, but I will like to remind everyone, make sure you go check out docs.webstream with a 3 for the E .com and go explore, like Simone just said. I think it's not only just important for developers who are watching and interested in penetrating this space, and or if you've already been developing in the blockchain space. This is pretty new tech. I mean, it's exciting. It's new. It's something that I tout for the project that I'm building on IoTeX. When people say, "Hey, what's so special about what you're building?" It's like, no one's done this before.
Yeah, and actually, there is another interesting aspect of all of this is that WebAssembly is a relatively new technology, and it's gaining a lot of popularity, a lot of funds around it. And I think these people, there are not so many tools around for WebAssembly, and WebStream is a unique tool that allows these WebAssembly enthusiasts to play around with a virtual machine that is visually configurable and very flexible in terms of what it can do. At this moment, it could even be used for many different things. Right? It's kind of an event machine based on a WebAssembly runtime. And you can configure this event machine the way you want, and it's extremely flexible. So I think this is another interesting thing for people who are interested in WebAssembly.
Yes, great touch on that. Absolutely. I do want to also remind everyone, Simone, before we do have Jeremy's Discord minutes coming up in just a second, but I do want to remind everyone here that if you are a developer, don't forget to go check out the IoTeX Developers Hub, and that is right here. I'm going to share that in the chat as well. Lots of cool stuff on there, Simone, and it just keeps growing, right?
Yeah, actually I have something more to share about the developer portal. Let me share again the screen, just 1 minute. If you go to the IoTeX developer portal and you log in with your GitHub account, you will notice there is a new create a project item in the user menu, right? So this one is still not laid out perfectly in terms of UI, but it works. So I also want to invite you to test this feature. This allows you to basically create some content autonomously, no need to check out anything to GitHub or go under any verification. You can just create your own project for to live inside your profile here. It can be a tutorial that you want to write for yourself or for other people if you want to make it public. It can be a guide or whatever you are expert in. You just want to write a piece of content. Or maybe like other people are doing, if you're building something on IoTeX, some users are using it as a diary, as a journal of how their experience is going during their journey into creating a project on IoTeX, and they're like updating this content along the way and share it with other developers, other users. So you can create, I don't know, whatever thing you want, like, I don't know, Pebble test, I don't know, building, I don't know, home automation on IoTeX, and then have a description, have a header for your project.
So we did get a question from Chuck here, real quick, Simone, while you do that. Let me get rid of this and bring Chuck's question. Chuck, and for those of you who don't know him, he has been on a previous episode of IoTeXperts Livestream, CTO from EnviroBlock. Can we point our current Pebbles to a web stream node, I'd imagine?
You can point it to a WebStream node. There is a configuration utility for Pebble Tracker that allows you to configure the endpoint where the data is sent to. The problem is that you will also have to build the WebStream module, the logic, the applet that receives the data, and also the Pebble Tracker workflow messaging protocol is a little bit complex because there is some binding process and verification. And we have not published documentation of the Pebble protocol yet. It's all open source, but it's in code, right? But we don't have an official, easy to read documentation of this protocol. So it would be a little bit hard to deploy your own WebStream module to manage the messages incoming from a Pebble tracker. But we are going to release the WebStream module for Pebble Tracker soon, very soon, along with documentation if you want to customize.
Awesome. I think that answers the question there. Cool. Did you want to hit that next step now?
Yeah, so basically after you upload your header for your content, you can go ahead and just write your content here. We have an editor. You can write whatever content you want and also upload images and whatever you want. Upload images and write your long article, your long tutorial, or even we want people to use it also to write their kind of portfolio, right? If you have worked on a project, you can use this as a project portfolio. Because all of this content eventually is going to be available into your public profile. So, by the way, all the content is getting stored on a decentralized storage. So it's very Web3 oriented. So if you go to your public profile here, at some point, you see I have my content here. So if you're a developer and you also use it together with the hire me function, you can also build your portfolio of applications you built, right, and then use this profile publicly.
So Simone, this is a huge, in my opinion, huge step in the right direction, because previously, and this was literally not too long ago, you actually had to go fork the repository, add content, submit a pull request. And so you have really streamlined the process. Now, my question is, and again, we do have to move over to the Jeremy Discord minutes in a second, but building home automation on IoTeX, that project you just launched, you submitted, you proposed it. Is it because that you're an admin on the platform that it just got automatically accepted?
No. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And actually, there is also a way to make it public that I cannot see yet. But this is still in here you get it. So you can hide it, you can edit it, and you can delete it, right? And so it's your decision if you want to keep it private for you. I just want to make it public for it to be visible on your public profile. And then we are going to publish a community hub here that will showcase all these community contributions. And what we expect to see is people experimenting with maybe open hardware and WebStream, and then showcase what they have built in this area with other developers, because then developers can also follow each other and getting hired by ecosystem projects. So I think it's an important step forward into building a community around WebStream.
Absolutely. And last question, since this transition, have you thought of, not that I'm recommending or suggesting this at all, but have you thought about moving away from the requirement to own a GitHub account? or have a GitHub account to log in, like actually adding a user registration process if people don't want to or don't have a GitHub?
So let's say that there are two types of users that go to the developer portal, right? One is a developer, and we decided to use a GitHub account because we want to make sure that all registered users are developers.
But so the reason I say this, Simone, sorry for interrupting, is that because there's GitLab, Bitbucket.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
So,
you're right.
So,
That's a limitation we're working on. We are actually working on providing a connection with a MetaMask account for you to log in, but this is still associated to your GitHub account. So you can either choose if you want to log in with GitHub or MetaMask, but GitHub is still required. But yeah, I get your point, and that's something that should be expanded. Definitely.
GitHub is my go-to. So like I'm a GitHub person, right? But I do know people who do prefer GitLab or Bitbucket or these other, version control services.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's
cool.
true. That's true. I used the GitLab in the past as well, and even the Microsoft.
I believe GitLab is really good for corporations, right? Because they offer an SSO, single sign-on process for corporations, enterprise grids, and stuff like that. So you might find that GitLab actually has a few more professional makers or professional developers on that side, whereas GitHub has everyone, right?
Yeah,
Or at least the
that's
majority of developers. But yeah. Okay, cool. Simone, any last words before we move into the Discord Jeremy minutes?
No, try out Webstream and let us know your feedback on Discord, and join the office hours if you have a question.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Simone. You're sticking around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Discord Jeremy's Discord minutes. Hey, Jeremy.
Hey guys.
How are you? Welcome.
Thanks, thanks Simone for the explanation of Webstream, and thank you, Robert, for the introduction. Today I wanted to address a couple of pressing topics which arose around a week or two ago. It's regarding the Ledger and accessing the IoTeX app on Ledger. For some people, the IoTeX app is no longer available to install in Ledger Live. So let me share my desktop. I'll show you what I want to show you. Hold on.
All right, bring that in.
Awesome. Okay, so I've got my Ledger here. You won't really be able to see much because the camera is a bit too small. The zoom won't capture everything I'm going to be doing on the Ledger, but I'm going to be walking you through everything. So the problem is that recently Ledger, the hardware wallet, received a firmware update, and IoTeX has published a new IoTeX application for the Ledger. This means that the old IoTeX app has been deprecated, and the new one has been put on, so to speak, like a developer mode, like a verification pending period. While during the pending period, the IoTeX app is not available unless you enable the developer mode in your Ledger Live on your Ledger. So that means that for some of you, for example, you just bought some IoTeX tokens on an exchange and you want to send them to your device, to your hardware wallet. And you have this conundrum because you open up Ledger Live, you want to follow the guides that are available on the documentation on IoTeX. And the documentation says install the IoTeX app, but you can't see the IoTeX app. So what happens then is, this is why I'm explaining this to you, is IoTeX is recommended by Ledger to, there's a little hint saying, do you want to send to, did you mean the Polygon IoTeX tokens? And many people have made this mistake, and they have said, yes, that's what I mean, and I want to send my tokens to Polygon, only to then find out that when they connect their Ledger to IOPay desktop, for example, the tokens are not there. They can't see, they can't access their tokens, and they fear that they lost them forever. So that's not the case. In any case, you can always use your recovery phrase to use with tools like BIP39 and access your wallet that way to derive the private key from your seed phrase. However, what I'm going to show you now is a bit of an easier process. It's much easier, in fact. So what you do is you get your cable, you connect the ledger to your PC, you get the pin, so you unlock your ledger. All right, so I'll unlock my ledger, and now I'm in the main menu. So as you can see, I already have the IoTeX app installed, but let's not worry about that. Let's just say that I don't have it installed, and I made this mistake, which I just described earlier. So then I open Ledger Live. I go to my ledger. I have to allow, you have to press both buttons, allow Ledger to access my Ledger device. And now I have this main menu of the app catalog and the installed apps. So in this case, here we're going to install the Polygon
Could you make
app.
it a little bigger, Jeremy? Sorry, just make that window a little bigger. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not sure if I can increase this size, but yeah. So now we check the Polygon app and we install it, because this is the most common tragic mistake that people make, and then they panic that they can't access the tokens. So we click install on Polygon. It says that Ethereum app is required. Let's just install both apps. So now it's, from what I understand, this is, oh yeah, okay, here we go. It's I have a progress bar on my device, and the Polygon app is queued while the Ethereum application is being installed. And now we can see the Polygon app is being installed. Okay, so I've got both applications now installed. You can see them here. Well, it's a bit too small, but just trust me on that. I've got both installed. So now we can close Ledger Live. We don't need that anymore. And so now let's say that we made this mistake. We sent them to the Polygon application. So we go into our main menu of Ledger, and we choose the Polygon app, and we enter the Polygon app. And what we have to do also before you continue is there's this nifty little tool you can use. It's called IoTeXDefi.com. This is a shortcut.
We have it, Jeremy. We have it on the developer portal too now.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so there's a couple. You can also just use the IoTeX documentation. It's all listed there. It's just a button you can click. And what it does is it prompts MetaMask to add the IoTeX mainnet to your MetaMask. I already have it in my MetaMask, so I'm not going to add it again. But once you have IoTeX network attached to your MetaMask, you have it established as a network. What you do is you click this little button here, and my interface in Polish, but what you will have is you'll have a button saying connect your hardware wallet. So you click that, and you get this little pop-up to pair your Nano or your Ledger. I click this, I click connect. There we go, this time it worked. Okay, so here, this is connecting my Polygon application to MetaMask. So let's just say I choose the first wallet, and what's going to happen is that you should see your balance, your IoTeX balance on this wallet. So what you do then is, let's say you have an IoPay mobile address, or you have an IoPay desktop, or you have an exchange, whatever. You can just copy this address, for example, and you can just click send. Let's just choose this one. I'm going to send 0.01 tokens. It's not going to let me because I don't have enough for gas. Let's just say whatever.
I think this gets the point though, Jeremy, right?
Because
I mean, you've walked through the whole process. Rescue IoTeX tokens off of the Polygon app from Ledger. It's okay. It's okay. Jeremy, I want to close this out now, if that's okay, Simone, as well, because I want to be considerate of people's time who are watching, and you know, any last things either of you want to say before I tell people to follow us and hit the like button? Good. Simone, am I muted? No. Simone, thumbs up. Jeremy, thumbs up. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everyone so much. Once again, another successful IoTeXperts live stream brought to you by the folks at IoTeX. We have Simone, our resident IoTeXpert, Jeremy, Discord minutes, Discord, Jeremy, also just basically around 24/7 to help you with IoTeX related questions on the Discord server. I want to mention the IoTeX Discord address that we have scrolling across the bottom. I posted it in the chat. It is broken right now. It will be fixed tomorrow. I did post a replacement invite link in the chat on YouTube for those of you who would like to join. Once again, thank you so much for spending your very valuable time with us, the whole hour, and we look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from now, where we'll be doing this again. Exciting guests, exciting questions, exciting everything. So come tune in, follow us, like this video, and we'll see you next 2 weeks. Take care. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.